Namaste everyone. Let's start our Wednesday class with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhavaswaha, Tatsavitravare Vargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. Om Sehna Vavatu, Sehna Bhunaktu, Saviryam Karvavahi, Tejasvi Navadhitamastu, Ma Vidveshavahi. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. We often hear people saying that we are not religious, but we are on the path of spirituality, want to be spiritual. And everyone is eager to know more about the path of spirituality also. We watch the YouTube messages also, we read books about it. There are countless books written on it. We long to know more. But there is actually a barrier that we create for ourselves between knowing and being. And then that barrier is called not practicing, not doing the sadhana. So which means we do not practice with what we already know. And practice is called sadhana. If we pay attention, we really do not need to know many things. But we definitely need to practice what we know. Personally, I'm sure you can also agree with me. So personally, I have not really learned anything new since I grew up. That which I learned in my childhood. That's all I need to practice. When we were children, we were told to be truthful. Satyam vad, dharmam uchar. Do we practice that? We were told that health is wealth. Are we taking care of our health at the physical level, mental level, intellectual level? We were told, love thy neighbor. Are we loving our neighbors? And it is same with most of the people, not just me alone. The basic knowledge that is imparted by our parents, schools, universities, still remains unpracticed. We don't practice what we know, but we should begin to do that so that our personality can be modified and developed. We want to develop our personality. We all have that urge to perfect our personality. We have come here to move towards the perfection. So the word personality comes from its Greek root, persona, or masks. The Greeks used many masks in their theater. And we all have and wear many masks. We got to ask ourselves, who made those masks for us? They were not created by our society or culture or religion, because sometimes we put burden on these. But we got to remember, we chose them. We are what we are. That is our choice. We wanted to be the way we are, and that is how we have created ourselves. So we should not blame others for our personality or its conflicts. So we are fully responsible for our personality. Even the Western philosophers, like Plato, all of them held the principle that you are your own creation, rather than the result of what God wants you to be. When we suffer, we sometimes think that our suffering is because of God. But that is a very poor philosophy. Because God, who loves us all, never wants anyone to suffer. God is a symbol of love. We all agree with that. And love is the highest principle, and God upholds that. Why would God be interested in creating suffering? Rather, it's our own actions that makes us suffer. Our actions can be divided into three classes: past, present, and future. To understand these three types of actions, we often use that analogy of someone carrying a quiver of arrows on his shoulders. There is one set of arrows that a person has already sent toward the target. They are the actions of the past. Cannot retrieve them back. Those arrows that person is holding in his hands are the present actions. And those arrows still in his quiver are the future actions. Perhaps you are not happy with some events from your past. Perhaps you expected too much of yourself. Then you condemn yourself by thinking that you have not done enough. And you constantly repeat the thought that your past actions were not good, were not healthy. That's how we have all created a habit of condemning ourselves. And that's how we create negativity in our mind. But the present and future actions are still completely in our hands. We should remember that. Past, we cannot do anything about it. Sure, we can learn from the past, but we cannot change it. But present and future actions are still in our hands. And that's where our focus should be. That's where our mind should be. So we have the power to change the destiny of our life. We have the power to change our personality. We have the power to mold the entire stream of our life, to give a new direction to our life. There is one difficulty in doing this, though. That is our habit patterns. Our habits. Our personality is a particular character woven by our habit patterns. But how are our habits themselves formed? Better think about it. Habits are formed because we have repeated some actions or thoughts again and again. So repeated actions, repeated thoughts create habits. They become very strong habits. Then you unconsciously do it. Eventually, it is a full-fledged habit. When we understand this, then you can learn another process. That is undoing or changing your by replacing with new habits. During our life, in the schools, in the colleges, etc., we never learned the technique of how to unlearn or how to forget. So that's why we do not know how to unlearn. We have not learned how to unlearn the negativity or the disturbing thoughts, because those negativities, those kind of thoughts create serious problem. And many things are constantly going on in our mind. Our mind is thinking, and we cannot gain freedom from that process. When we want to rest, we cannot. Body is resting, but mind is not. We are still thinking. That wall which stands between us and the reality is our mind. When we study our minds, we may discover that today we are at peace and feel that we have conquered our mind. But tomorrow we suddenly lose our temper. Even though we know theoretically, getting angry at any level of our personality is dangerous to our health. Physical health, mental health, intellectual health, and of course, the spiritual health. Perhaps we say something that is not to be said, or to do something that should not be done. We all know in human relationships, the most destructive of all weaknesses is the weakness of blaming others. When you think, I am suffering because of you, or I am unhappy because of you, that is dangerous. We don't take responsibility. We think that others can make us happy. No one has the capacity to make us happy. Our mind is our own mind. It is our own sanskars that make us happy and also unhappy. That's why sadhana is important. That's why practicing what we learned in the childhood, or even later on, or even now, whatever we are learning, ultimately we need to practice. If we don't practice, it is just a burden on our mind. So this term sanskara, we need to understand it because we use it quite often. You have to understand something about the mind and body relationship. If you glance at me or anything outside, then a few minutes later, you look at me again, you will recognize me, or you will recognize that thing. This means that your optic nerve conducted an impression of that person or me, in this case, to your mind, where it was stored. And when you recall me again, the impression come forward. So you see something, there's an impression printed, almost like a film. So sanskars are the strong seeds that you have sown in various levels, not just on the optic nerve, various levels of your mind by your experiences and thoughts. That's what the sanskars are. They are not related only to this lifetime. According to the Vedic philosophy, they are very powerful motivations and affect the way you function. That's why we often say that this baby is born with these particular sanskars. Or we pray to God even before a mother conceives, God, please send us that personality who has good sanskars. So that itself tells us that we have lived many lives. So they are very powerful motivations and affect the way you function, the way you think, the way you feel, and even the things you desire. That's why we all desire different things. Or even in lifetime, we keep on changing our desires also. All these are due to our sanskars. Sanskars are the seed memories of your previous actions, which you have stored in the reservoir within yourself. It's not somewhere outside. It's not that some other being in some other realm holding up your account. It's right inside us. Sometimes a time comes in our life when we feel helpless and at the mercy of our sanskars, because they are so powerful, you feel helpless because you don't work with yourself. If we have not sincerely done our practice on a regular basis, we are at the mercy of our sanskars. And these sanskars could be cheating, lying, or even helping somebody. So they could be good or bad. Being overactive or being very lazy. Being drawn to this world or being drawn to God. They're all sanskars. Sometimes we don't want to change ourselves. We say we like the way we are. That's also due to sanskars, very strong sanskars. Let us first describe how sanskars affect us. The body is related to the mind, and they are related to each other. That's why a calmer mind will affect the body will be healthy. And a healthier body will give a calmer mind. They feed into each other because they are related to each other. With the help of a force which is called Prana, the vital energy, which is carried on our breath. We are all familiar with it. It's a group of students who practice yoga. We see the effect of pranayama. So body, mind, in between there's a prana. So the mind has two aspects, a conscious aspect and an unconscious aspect. The conscious part of the mind is only a very small part of the totality of mind. Very small. It's almost like a tip of the iceberg. It is the conscious aspect of mind that you have been training through your educational systems. At the same time, you also pour into the unconscious mind all the experiences you have. So we are aware of only conscious mind. Sure, I want to have a higher education. I want my children to have a higher education. I want to live a comfortable life. I want to help others so that others can see me, I'm helping others. That is all in the conscious mind. But there's a lot going into the unconscious mind at the same time, which we are not conscious of. So in the sanskaras that you have deposited in the unconscious mind, there are many desires that have not been fulfilled. Perhaps you want to be respected by someone. If this desire exists in you, it will hurt you so much that it will not allow you to be at peace. It will disturb you at a very subtle level, but consciously you may not even know why you are disturbed. You waste your time and energy for these kind of expectations, because it's not only one, and it's not only from one person. Human beings are social beings. We relate with so many people, we live with so many people, and sometimes we don't even know what is really disturbing us. But the mother of all problems and conflicts lies within us. Remember that. It's not outside. Because we always try to find the faults outside. We want to solve the problem outside, but it is within us that is expecting things from others. Once a journalist asked Gandhi how to attain happiness. Gandhi's answer was, when you don't have any desires, then you'll be happy. Desires. Normally, people think when I attain God, then I'll be happy. Because people think that's a good desire, when I attain God. But that's not practical. You are postponing your happiness in the future. You have to recognize that when you don't have any desires, it means that you have fulfilled all your desires. And often you are happy then. But you should develop a sense of discrimination, which is called vivek, and understanding about the desires. They are helpful for you to pursue a fruitful life. If you have developed that capacity to discriminate between your desires, then you do not entertain those desires that are injurious to you and drive you crazy or create a state of helplessness. Unfulfilled desires within you will always lead to a state of unhappiness. Remember that. So if you want to be happy, sure, try to fulfill your desires. But if you don't have any desires, you are happy right now, because there's no unfulfilled desire. You should have some desires as a human being. Everybody says that, because we are over here because of we had some desires. We cannot live totally without desires. It's like a desire to eat, desire to protect ourselves, desire to take care of our family. But we should always filter our desires. Filter by the sense of discrimination. And discrimination is inside us, our buddhi, our intelligence. Because discrimination is sure, vivek, it's a higher level, but intellect, we understand that part of mind which judges, which decides, which discriminates, that will all be helpful in this area. You should learn to develop that function within yourself. Then, of course, decrease your desires also. Decrease, it's almost like a pruning the desires. It's like a tree of desires, keep on pruning. What is useless, what is not helping me to attain my highest purpose, prune those. Just like we clean our closets, we clean our homes, we clean our garages. The same way, the best thing to do is clean this mind of you. So decrease your desires. Otherwise, what will happen if you don't do that? In this predominantly materialistic world, we are adding more and more desires. And when we leave this body, and we all have to leave this body, that is the fact, we all know that, we'll be going with a bigger baggage of desires. And you know, heavier the baggage, tougher to move up. So we got to lighten our baggage. So prune the desires. It is the useless desires that create problems for us right now, while we are living on this earth also. It's not helpful to us now. It's not helpful to us hereafter. Keep that in mind. Expecting too much from others is always a problem. That is a desire. Somebody should help me. The happiest person is one who has very few expectations. So if you want to be happy, just lower your expectations. So first you need to understand yourself, and understanding your to change, death and decay. That we should know. This knowledge we should have. But the soul does not change. The soul is immortal. You need to understand your internal states, your mind and its modifications. You need to desire. Before you go to the desire, observe how your buddhi functions, how your man, the mind, how your ego, ahankar, how the chit functions. We should know that chit is the storehouse of our knowledge, our memories. Chit. Consider the reasons why others do not think the same way you think. Even people who are born in the same family, they don't think alike. Our children, we raise them the same way. They don't think alike. In fact, our thinking changes also from day to day. Should pay attention to that. So we not only look different, but we think differently. See, our own looks, it has changed in the course of this life. And other people definitely, they don't look like us. And mine, many. But when you can learn to work with yourself gently and gradually, because that's what sadhana is, working with yourself, you can change your personality. You can reduce the desires. You can change. And if you really want to, you can change your masks. Those masks that you wear have been chosen and made by you, but you can change them and make your personality a pleasant one, a pleasant one. So work with your sanskars. You will learn that all your actions do indeed give all actions that you make sincere human, sometimes you're not proving that no progress, an effort truthfully, with full determination and with all. First, we have to believe in just believing in the philosophy itself is not going to work. We got to do something about it. You can do an experiment like this, even just a day or two. use your great power, which is your inherent power. That power is called love. That is the biggest power we have. That's why we are always drawn to love. That is our inherent power. You express yourself such a way that you don't hurt, injure, or harm others. Yoga science explains the true meaning of love. Instead of personal commitments, which Rishi Patanjali called Yam and the Niyams, he advises us to practice ahimsa. The very first commitment, ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-injury, non-harming, and non-violence. Often we hurt others merely for the sake of our own selfish ego. The practice ahimsa means practicing love in life. We are not going to the war, often talk about the wars, but we got to bring all this practice at a personal level. Wherever we are, where we're interacting with others, or even not interacting in our thoughts also. Are we practicing love or opposite of love? The desires to help others, to serve others, to serve the nation or humanity, these are the great desires. Nobody says, no yoga guru says, don't have these desires. Have these desires. When all your small desires are swallowed by the great desires, then your life will be like that of a saint. Let me repeat again. Desire to help others. My own Guruji's last message was help others, live for others. It's a great desire. Any time you have a choice to help yourself or to help others, try others. Even at the expense of your own comfort, own time, help others. That will make you a saint. All the truly great men and women who have lived on this earth have been truly selfless. If you read the biographies, autobiographies of great people, you see that there's one thing common in them. They were selfless and desireless. We should get inspiration from them. They lived for the sake of others. They served others. They helped others. They sacrificed their own comforts, even own lives. So in life, there are two processes going on simultaneously: accepting and rejecting. When I walk, I am rejecting the old space and accepting a new space. When I'm climbing on the stairs, I'm rejecting one step and accepting the higher step. When you swim also, what do? You push the water away in order to go for even the breathing, which we all do ever since we were born, and we are going to keep on doing it until our last breath, as they say. What do? You exhale. You reject the carbon dioxide and accept fresh air. We know this. We've been doing it. So in order to develop our personality, in order to remove those old masks, you need to accept good habits and shed the bad ones, and that's the sadhana. Sadhana is, you're all familiar with this actually. Because our quality of our life depends upon our state of mind. And that's why state of mind is improved with the sadhana. It is so important. And that's the reason we talk about it often enough. External resources, they do help to accomplish the external things, but only the internal sources really help you to make you strong. So this sadhana is about the internal things. Very important lesson we got to keep in our mind, that there are two different kinds of resources. External resources are superficial. They are momentary. They are transitory. All these external resources. That's why when we think that last part of our arti also, what do we say? God is internal. Our Atma, our soul is part of that Paramatma. We say, you are my mother, you are my father, you are my brother. Tomev mata cha pita tomev. You are my relative, you are my wealth, you are my knowledge, you are my everything. That is internal. We have paid too much importance to the external and ignored the internal. So the real internal resources, we got to pay attention to it. It's permanent and unchanging. External keeps changing, but still we want to hold on to them. Internal, which is part of us, we don't pay any attention, and that's what spirituality is. To live a life keeping in mind that we are the spirit, we are the soul. That is spirituality, and do the sadhana based upon that. You should understand that you are fully equipped with all the resources, all the power that you need. God has given it to us. He equipped us with all that. But we don't tap on it. We have formed a habit of seeking help in the external world. Remember, it's only a crutch. Crutch can help only a person who's going through the challenges. The more you rely on yourself and learn from your mistakes, stronger you become. Great people learn through their mistakes. So that means in the past, if they did something like that, learn from it and move forward. That's why I mentioned those three kinds of actions: past, present, and future. Learn from the past, live in the present, make the right decisions, and remember the future will take care of itself. To commit a mistake is human. People say that. To err is human. But to go on committing mistakes is a sin. Remember that also. If you continue to commit the mistakes, it will not allow you to grow. It does not change your personality or even make you happy right here. You'll have a miserable life. So remember, your personality can be changed. In this lifetime, you can attain the highest rung of life, a state free from pain and misery. Do not postpone it. That's why we got to do that sincere sadhana. We don't want to postpone. We don't want to take another chance. From now, from today. Enlightenment is our birthright. It's not only for select few, it's for all of us. Enlightenment is not something acquired or new. It is already there. We have just forgotten who we are. We got to remember who we are. We can all realize this state. Learn to work with yourself to remove the barriers to your growth. Learn to transform your habits. Purify your personality. This is the challenge as a human being we have. We need to transform ourselves. And this is spirituality. And this is what we are, all of us. The spirit, the soul, part of God. And it can all be accomplished with sincere sadhana. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.